All right, guys, we should be live. Special guest tonight, everyone. G Walker with the CNG podcast. G Walker, how you doing, man?
Man, I'm good, bro. How you doing today? Tonight, this evening. How you doing your Saturday? How was your day?
Well, we were talking backstage, frantic to get to the finish line, but we're here, and I'm very excited for that.
Good.
Just want to preface: we are currently live on both the Thines my personal channel, as well as
Okay.
the Bears Country production channels. For
Nice.
anyone who is not subscribed to either of those channels, guys, please feel free to subscribe to any of those two channels. There may be a switch where I cut the stream short on the Bears Country podcast side. I don't think that's going to happen. Today is going to be a bit of a testing, but we'll see how it goes. G Walker, today what I want to start off with, I want to talk to you about what we're going to see from Thomas Brown,
Mm-hmm.
because this past week the Bears did something. I think it's this past week. I can't really remember, but the Bears did something that they haven't done in what 105 years. That being fired their head
Fine.
coach in the middle of a season.
Mm-hmm.
So we're going to be essentially seeing history against the 49ers.
Yeah.
We're going to be seeing the first ever interim head coach for the Chicago Bears, or at least in a very long time since I believe it was Hallis was asked to go to like
Mm-hmm.
one of the world wars.
Yeah.
Honestly, can't remember. But G Walker, what are you looking forward to regarding Thomas Brown and I guess the Chicago Bears as a whole tomorrow against the 49ers?
I'm looking forward to Thomas Brown having a team unified. I'm looking for Thomas Brown to make sure that the team is disciplined, the team is focused, the team is ready to win, the team is ready to play. I'm looking forward to see Thomas Brown input his personality on this team. And he talks about preparation a lot, like preparation, preparation, preparation. So I'm looking forward to see that the preparation that they did this week comes into the game, and the hiccup that we saw with Matt Eberflus as far as the coach when he was here. We don't see that with Thomas Brown in his first game. So I'm excited. He has good energy. He said he lost 20 something pounds because he's busier now. So the dude is
I think it
locked
was
in.
22 pounds in two weeks or 12 days, man. Like, can you imagine that? I need to follow his
Yeah, I need to
school of
know what
thought,
he's
man.
doing, man. I need to know what he's doing because it's incredible to lose that amount of weight that quick. But
It's
I'm
impressive.
excited, man. I'm just excited to see what a team that a coach is playing to his players' strengths. Justin Fields, I mean not Justin Fields, but Caleb Williams in the RPOs. He's targeted Keenan Allen the last game against what was it? Was that Detroit?
Yeah. So I think what you're going to be alluding to is that Mr. Keenan Allen has had increased production, honestly, in the past like 2-3 weeks.
Yeah,
So, well, what happened? We had Shane Waldron get fired, and Chris
right.
Beatty, the wide receivers coach, who had a lot of experience with Mr. Keenan Allen, that was pushed. Beatty was put into more of a prominent role. So it's really
Right.
no surprise whatsoever that we're seeing this increase in production for Mr. Keenan Allen.
Yeah. So that's what I'm mostly ready to see from Thomas Brown. Just his impact, his personality on the offense, and see how that carries over into a game. He's prepared. This is his first week of preparation as far as his game plan, as far as his focus, as far as his intensity. So I'm really looking forward to seeing this. So what about you? What are you looking forward to?
So, with Thomas Brown, when he became our offensive coordinator, a lot of people were very captivated by the way that Thomas Brown was able to speak. And that's a really important thing for anyone in this business, right?
Right.
But as the offensive coordinator, to immediately crown him as like the second coming of God or whatever you'd like to call Thomas Brown, I didn't buy into it whatsoever. And his as an offensive coordinator, in my opinion, Thomas Brown's production has not been earth-shattering, right? He didn't have that like flash in the pan like we saw with I believe it's not Kubiak. Is it? I think it's Clint Kubiak with the Saints. Their first 2 weeks of the season, they scored like 100 points in
Oh
two
yeah,
weeks.
it was a lot.
Like
Yeah.
we didn't see anything like that. It
No.
was better. It was better, but when you compare it to what we were getting from Shane Waldron, he literally was fired because of his poor performance, which again I think is
Right.
a Chicago Bears first, right? So
Right.
Thomas Brown as a speaker in the offensive coordinator room, I really didn't buy too much stock into it. I was not ready to crown him, so to speak. But now I think that his strongest trait being public speaking, it's so much more important as the head coach because you're galvanizing the football team. He's still the offensive coordinator, not by name but by trade. He's going to be the
Mm-hmm.
one calling the plays. He's going to have Beatty
Mm-hmm.
in the room upstairs. He's going to be the auxiliary through that sense as well. But I don't know. I am excited to see. And J2K has been all over this. J2K was the man who really, turned on the idea to me that Thomas Brown is really well connected in this NFL. He's going to be able to
Yeah,
bring in
that's
guys,
for
do
sure.
things like
Yeah.
that. He's not a nobody by any stretch of the imagination. I have a much different take on what I think the Bears should do as a head coach moving forward, but we can get to that a little bit later.
Yeah.
As far as the game tomorrow, what are you, I guess, predicting, expecting? What are some things that you'd like to see, not only from Thomas Brown, but just the Chicago Bears as a whole against the 49ers?
Well, this will be what Caleb Williams' third game. Is it his third game with Thomas Brown now? S-
Third or fourth, man. I think
Yeah,
this is going to be his fourth game with
I'm
Thomas Brown as
expecting.
the
I'm
offensive coordinator.
expecting. I'm expecting with the week of preparation that he does not have. Caleb Williams does not have a first half blunder. He does not come out this game, with empty stats in the first half. I am looking forward to seeing Caleb Williams perform better with a week's preparation under Thomas Brown. I'm expecting Chicago Bears defense to actually put a little bit more pressure on the 49ers and Brock Purdy than what they did with Matt Eberflus under Eric Washington. I want to see this team attacking on both sides of the ball. I want to see the run game being used. I want to see the RPOs being used. I want to see blitzes. I want to see guys playing with their heads on fire, bro. There's nothing to lose, but everything to gain. If you're not going to be the head coach of this team, you need to go balls to the wall. If you're not going to be the defensive coordinator, this is the best audition for you to have a job elsewhere. So I'm expecting the Chicago Bears to come out on fire, ready to play, ready to win, and show everybody that, hey, the guys that we had here were the problem, but not us, the players.
Oh, to answer your question, I was just scrambling to figure this out. I believe that Shane Waldron was fired on November 12th. So Thomas Brown's offensive coordinator performances for the Chicago Bears include against the Packers, Vikings, and Detroit Lions. So now this is going to be game 4 for Thomas Brown. You mentioned Eric Washington, the new defensive coordinator. He's always been the defensive coordinator by name, but now he's actually going to be by trade the guy calling the plays. And something that I think a lot of people were pointing out with Thomas Brown, they were not able to get any inclination as far as what he wants to do because he has no film this year, right? So that's what I'm expecting out of Eric Washington. Whether he's going to be a bit more aggressive, like what we saw in the preseason,
Right,
or bring some other
right,
exotic things, whatever the case
right,
is, there's no
right.
tendencies to go off of, right? Now, on the flip side, a lot of Bears fans have been talking about obtaining Kyle Shanahan because he's a great coach. So I don't know if he'll be able to get out coached by Eric Washington, anything like that. The fact of the matter that is what you said is correct. The Bears have nothing to lose at this point. Eric Washington, Thomas Brown, a lot of these guys on the staff, they may not be here next year. They should act like they should be. They should want to do the
Mm-hmm.
best job that they
Absolutely.
absolutely can. And as a
Yeah.
coach in the NFL, I forgot who said this recently that I heard. It was almost like I think it was Bersky. I think Bersky said something along the lines of it's a death job, right? Like you got to pour everything into this. You're going
Yeah.
into you're going into this job knowing that you're not going to see your wife or kids for months in advance. So yeah, it's exciting. The actual matchup, though, there's a lot of players, and I'm going to see if I can get something on the screen. The
Oh, go ahead.
49ers
Take your
are
time, bro.
really,
Yeah.
really, really shorthanded right now, right? So I know that Mr. I always get these names messed up. I believe Joey Bosa is on the Chargers, and it's Nick Bosa for the 49ers. I know that one of
Mhm.
the whatever Bosa brothers on the 49ers,
Whatever
he got
Bosa's going to
downgraded
be
to
there
out.
tomorrow. Yeah.
Yeah, he got downgraded to out. And then this is gonna. I don't want to get into the keys of the game right away. It doesn't matter. But the 49ers safety, I have a nickname for him. I don't know if I want to say it while we're on the Bears Country Productions channel, but it's Huafanga. I don't know if I'm saying that correctly. He actually got elevated off of IR, so I think that he's going to be playing tomorrow. Maybe not, but let me see. I want to find their transactions. Let's see. But essentially, I bring that up to say I don't know if the Chicago Bears will be able to beat down the San Francisco 49ers defense the same way that the Bills and the Green Bay Packers did the past 2 weeks. The Bears are just not at that situation. Obviously, we know that the weak link of this offense is the offensive line. The running back play has improved, but I really don't think that they'll be able to go out and just dominate them, right? So I would have to say one of these keys to what we're going to end up seeing is how can Caleb Williams and this receiver cast perform against the 49ers secondary. Let me see if I can figure this out. They also have the 49ers have a revolving door, to say the least, regarding their running back situation. McCaffrey on IR. They just put Jordan Mason, not to be confused with Adam Mason, by the way. Jordan Mason put on IR. So we're going to be seeing the rookie from Louisville, Isaac Garendo. I don't know if he'll... Do you have any thoughts as far as kind of what we'll see from the 49ers and how you expect that matchup against the Bears defense specifically?
It's just going to be, but since they're out with a lot of guys, Kyle Shanahan is going to have to do what he can with who's ever out there. You know what I mean? Who's ever's out there, he's going to have to scheme to them, and he's going to have to get the best that he can because they're so hurt. You're down your 2 running backs. A lot of guys are hurt. Brock Purdy, hasn't had a good year because guys have been in and out of the lineup. So the defense, the Chicago Bears defense, will have to exploit the weakness. That's really all it is. Like if you're playing a guy that's coming off IR, or you're playing a rookie running back, you got to dominate. You have to dominate the matchup, man. You're a veteran football team. You're a good defensive team. So you should be able to impose your will on the weakness of a team to what your strength is.
Yeah, so just for context, everyone, this is the latest transaction reports from a couple days ago. It says December 4th. News on Nick Bosa, that came out today. But look at, obviously Nick Bosa, another offensive lineman, Aaron Banks.
Another lineman,
changed to out.
This is a winnable game.
They promoted an offensive lineman, which means that we're going to be seeing a practice squad offensive lineman on their roster. I don't know if he'll be playing. They've got running backs being elevated again from the practice squad. Wafanga again being activated, so he's going to be a player we're going to see. So this is what happens when you go to multiple deep playoff runs back to back to back. It's going to be a byproduct of just what happens here, man. This team is hurt.
Yeah.
Now there is an article I'm going to end up.
To Shanahan's credit, he's been able to keep that team from going in the basement for years. But every time I see them getting hurt I'm like, yeah, they're going in the basement, and they just keep staying afloat. But eventually your luck is going to run out, and I think that's what's going on with them. It's just starting to run out. Like you said, they're deep in the playoffs every year. You know what I mean? It's only so long before the treads start to come off the tires.
We saw such a good look into that with the receiver series on Netflix, essentially season 2 of the quarterback series, because it covered both the great George Kittle and Deebo Samuel. Deebo Samuel was getting treatment every single day, and he's not right now, in my opinion. Obviously, Mr. Moneybags himself, God, I can't think of his name. The wide receiver, he got a contract after holding out the entire... Yeah, thank you. Ayuk, he tore his ACL. He's on IR. George Kittle's a problem, and he's a Bears fan, so I hope he can go nice on us.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think that one's honestly going to end up being a push as far as the 49ers offense versus the Chicago Bears defense. The Bears defense, let me see if I can throw this up on the screen. We know that we're down in Elijah Hicks. Ryan Bates and Roschon are on the offensive side, which we'll get to in a bit. But the rest of the defense, essentially healthy, guys aside from the guys on IR. So a defense for the Chicago Bears that has been performing well. They're starting to underperform. Is that related to what's going on with Tyreek Stevenson, head coach being fired, all these things? It's obviously playing a part. But I'm not afraid of the 49ers hanging 50 points on us or anything like that, right? I think it's just going to have to be ending up the Chicago Bears offense outscoring whatever they can, or making sure that they can score enough against the a banged up 49ers defense. Let me say hello to chat because we've been going for about 15 minutes and I have neglected to do so. Obviously, the main man, Ant Mess, I appreciate you, buddy. Thanks for stopping in the chat. Also, Heidi Zimmerman, Mr. Shorty. I don't know who that Mr. Shorty guy is. I may have to eject him from the chat. Obviously, I'm kidding here. Mr. Foster, De Bears Den. Hello. And then good old Scottish Bear. I hope you're doing well, Scottish. Heidi Zimmerman. So everyone's pulling up to the chat. We appreciate the ever living heck out of you guys. Um, what to say, G Walker? I want to ask you about your thoughts on the Bears head coach as far as if it should be Thomas Brown, what we need to see from Thomas Brown. It just feels like we're a little bit early for that.
I mean, Thomas Brown, he's pretty much got Caleb on track. Okay, that's part one. You're done that. Part two is you have to make sure that Caleb Williams is playing both halves. He can't keep having first half blunders and then come out in the second half and he's having these Pat Mahomes games. That has to end. Thirdly is this: he has to win games. It's over now. Okay, you got Caleb back on track to probably throwing 3,700 touchdowns, 3,700 yards, 22 touchdowns, 10 interceptions, whatever. That's cool. But if you want this job and you want the Chicago Bears organization, Kevin Warren specifically, to take you seriously, if I'm the guy, the CEO, guess what? I'm gonna need you to win games. I'm gonna need you to win games. Now, it might be a very unfair situation for Thomas Brown to come into, because I do think he could be the head coach just by his personality, how strong he is. He got great presence. He has great authority in what he says. But at the end of the day, we don't know. So, but if you really want this job, bro, you're going to have to win games. And we're in good shape. We almost beat the Packers. Almost beat the Vikings. We've been in every game.
You're stealing the words out of my mouth. So this is what I wanted to present to you, because the winning aspect is important. I just would like... my personal opinion is that a quarterback's win-loss record is not – it's irrelevant, because we're essentially, 4 plays away from 4 Caleb Williams comebacks just recently. Right? Yeah. I honestly think that you can make a legitimate argument for Caleb Williams potentially of winning the game against the Colts, but I feel like that's a little bit too far gone at this point, so I really don't want to discuss that. But very specifically, okay – we are 1 tipped Hail Mary pass away from 1 win. Obviously, blocked field goal against the Packers. That's a 2nd win and a direct Caleb Williams comeback. The Vikings game, we had to, bend over backwards to get just to overtime. And I can't necessarily remember what. I guess that's another blocked field goal, right? Maybe the blocked field goal gets us to the point where we win before we go to overtime. I still feel like... call it 1 play against the Vikings from winning that game. That's 3 wins. And then obviously there's the great discussion right now. Should Caleb Williams have called timeout? Was Matt Eberflus supposed to call timeout? I think the Bears organization told you that it was Matt Eberflus because they fired him, right? So if we get that timeout, we do an out route and get a couple yards and get a nice long field goal in an indoor stadium, that's 4 plays away from 4 added wins for Caleb Williams. So when you want to talk about his win-loss record, I'm seeing comebacks that are just being spoiled because of coaching. That's just what it's boiling down to for me, right? So
yeah, I mean, it's coming down to coaching. It's coming down to players, talking to fans in the Washington game. It's coming down to Matt LaFleur talking about, so we're going to get a block this week, and guys, they scouting us on our offensive line when it's time to kick a field goal and destroying the left side and blocking it. It's just a lot of things that went wrong outside of Caleb Williams' control. You can't overcome everything that's wrong with your team when you're the quarterback. You can't overcome everybody else's job. So the thing about Eberflus was when he should have called a timeout or Caleb calling a timeout, it's okay to be overwhelmed in the game. And when you're the quarterback, he might have been a little bit overwhelmed, whatever was going on. But it's on the coach to call a timeout. Once you saw the offensive line not getting up to the line of scrimmage, then you saw Caleb do this right here. You should have called a timeout, bro. You should have called a timeout.
Right. That's what I'm trying to say, right? So should Caleb Williams have called a timeout? Maybe. Obviously, what I like to refer to is the point of no return. Once you're at 7 seconds, you cannot run another play, period, right? So once you're at 10, 9, 8 seconds, you got to call that timeout, right? But Caleb Williams on the play before was asked to run a draw. He was asked to take the snap from the shotgun and run up the center after giving a look, right? But Larry Borom didn't get out of his stance. He was still searching through the McDonald's bag, trying to make sure he had enough fries, counting the fries one by one, right? And I don't know who it was, Zadarius Smith, goddamn him. He came off the edge and sacked him, right? What are you going to do? You're going to listen to Thomas Brown. You're going to say, fuck, man, I got to audible this play because he can't control if there's a timeout being called or not because he's not the head of decision-making on the football field.
He's not,
the head coach. So
Because the flip part of
I,
that is
I
like, what if he did call a timeout? It'll still be on the Matt Eberflus. It'll be you're a rookie quarterback, even though Caleb Williams is smart and have all the situational awareness in that moment to call a timeout. He saved your butt. It was your job to call a timeout, Matt Eberflus. It'll be the same thing because in this situation, people are going to be looking at it like this. Why does Caleb Williams have to call the timeout? He's a rookie quarterback. His coach should have called the timeout. It's all to me. It would have been the same thing. Matt Eberflus doesn't get off the hook if Caleb called that timeout or not. That's just my personal opinion. Because based off the things that Matt Eberflus have done to lose games this year, still would have been on him. It really don't matter.
Yeah, I totally agree with you. And to the Bears Den's podcast's point, Thomas Brown is now, that's what I titled the stream. It's Thomas Brown's big chance. Thomas Brown needs to show that he can make these great decisions in situational football where Flus failed miserably. That's absolutely correct. But the sad thing is, he's not a rookie at this, but he's a young coach who's going to not only be a head coach and an offensive coordinator. So that's when we start to talk about, and we can segue into this now, what do you think Thomas Brown needs to do to be retained as the Chicago Bears head coach going into next year? A lot of people will tell you, undefeated, flawless season, 5 wins in a row, X, Y, and Z. I disagree. That's a lot to have on a man's plate.
Yeah,
with the roster you have, with a little bit of turmoil, I think that if Thomas Brown can go a modest 3-2, so a winning record out of these 5 games, including a win against the Green Bay Packers, which the McCaskey family loves, which I do like for them. I had a sign behind me for a little while that said "Fire McCaskey." Ironically, you can't fire the owner, right? But if they can get a win against the Packers, and then again, it's all about the relationship with Caleb, right? If we can get Caleb Williams back into the Rookie of the Year conversations, he's not going to win. He's not going to beat out Bo Nix. He's not going to beat out the overhyped Jaden Daniels, little Jaden Daniels. It's just not going to happen. Let's just get him back into the conversation, right? That's what I feel like a really good base would be for Thomas Brown. Then it comes down to the interviews, right? But G. Walker, from your point of view, what do you want to see, and what would it take for Thomas Brown to be retained as the Chicago Bears head coach moving into next year?
He's going to have to win some games, man. He's going to have to get Caleb Williams back on track. He's going to have to make sure Caleb Williams, to me personally, does not have terrible first halves. That is so important because going forward with a superstar quarterback, how are you going to be the head coach of this football team when your quarterback is having bad first halves? Doesn't make sense. So from right now, his track record in first halves with Caleb Williams has not been good at all. It hasn't been good. So if I'm evaluating your progress as my head coach, then my offensive coordinator, what's going on with these first half blunders? You guys are not putting up points. Caleb Williams throwing balls in the dirt. He's not even getting 70, 80 yards in the half. Like, it has to stop. So he has to do better as far as having a complete game, getting Caleb Williams to play better in the first half. Then he has to win some games. And also the last thing, if Caleb Williams' voice matters in this organization, and I think it should, if Caleb says, Thomas Brown, I want him to be my coach, that'll help him. I think that'll help him as well.
Yeah, this was something that I've been debating with everyone who I've been speaking to in this space. If you're the McCaskey family and your decision on who your next head coach of the team is resides on what you want the quarterback to have, that's probably really bad in a vacuum, right? But you also have to understand, and I hope, because maybe we'll bring in the Sears Tower, because I know you're asking me about that behind the scenes, right? Sears Tower is the official, unofficial leaker of the Chicago Bears community as things stand currently. And for the record, I don't believe in the Sears Tower account. I think it's BS. But he does report that the McCaskey family feels the urgency. And why is that? In my opinion, I think the hardest thing to do in all of sports, I'm not talking about football or college or soccer or hockey or baseball or anything. I'm talking about sports. I think that the most difficult thing in sports to do is get the quarterback right. And for the first time in my lifetime, and I would have to say, hell, maybe even in Foster's lifetime, this is the first time the Chicago Bears have got the quarterback position right. So you have to have a fucking sense of urgency. But because you know that the quarterback is going to be here, hopefully for the long haul, as long as we don't screw him up, maybe you do go to Caleb Williams and ask for his opinion and, really take that to heart. Because if he comes out and says, man, I can't work with this Thomas Brown guy, but Thomas Brown goes 5-0, are you going to be able to tell Caleb Williams to deal with it? I'm not sure.
Yeah. Yeah, it's just going to come down to, if the McCaskies was a forward-thinking organization, if this organization was forward-thinking, getting your number one overall generational quarterback opinion about his head coach, it wouldn't be a problem. This is expected, man. This is the new era, man. This kid is going to look like he's going to save this franchise. So his opinion matters. You know what I mean? Like, he's going to make these people do their job, and this is the first time I've probably seen a quarterback that will actually make these people do their job since I've been a Chicago Bears fan. He's probably going to make these people do their job. He's probably going to make George do things, because he already fired a coach. They've already fired a coach in the middle of the season. It's the first time they're done that in 100 years. So let's keep it going with the forward thinking of asking Caleb who should be his coach. Because if you guys are saying Cliff Kingsbury, he knows Caleb. He knows him. So he knows him. It's a personal connection. Thomas Brown, he likes Thomas Brown. So it really does. It's the same thing. It's okay. It's okay.
Couple things. I want this to be very clear. I don't want, because the Chicago Bears are the masters at hiring consultants, right? Bill Polian,
right.
All these other guys who I can't think of off the top of my head right now. I am not asking the Bears to hire Caleb Williams as their consultant. I don't want it to be Caleb Williams' decision by any stretch of the imagination, right? We know that Caleb Williams is really good at playing the game. And by the game, I mean he mastered the NIL as soon as it came out. His father's very involved in that. If you ask Caleb Williams who you want his head coach and offensive coordinator to be, it's probably a combination of Cliff Kingsbury and the guy from USC. His name is escaping me as well, which I think that would be a terrible idea.
Well, I know it's not Lincoln Riley.
I literally think it's the USC head coach right now, Lincoln Riley. If you ask Caleb Williams straight up, he'd say, give me Lincoln Riley, give me Cliff Kingsbury, let's get this thing done, because that's what he's familiar with, and I would have to say that those are his friends.
Right.
I don't want either of those guys, and I don't want Caleb Williams calling the shots in any capacity, right? But I remember hearing conversations about Aaron Rodgers. Oh, Aaron Rodgers signs off on this guy, that's why he's on the Packers staff, all things like that, If we had if we had Rex Grossman, and Kyle Orton, I don't fucking care what you have to say. We're going to find the best head coach, and he's going to get the best out of you. But for the first time, like you said, in your lifetime, my lifetime, Foster's lifetime, you should thank God every day you finally have a quarterback who's worth asking that question, what do you think?
Yeah,
and then take that into consideration.
Very well said, man, because the other side of having a player's coach, it's a slippery slope. Because we were hearing stories that Matt Eberflus was too nice. Shane Waldron was too nice. So I don't want to have a situation where we're bringing in Cliff Kingsbury and it's, hey, buddy, and Caleb is doing what Caleb wants to do, and because he knew him and Lincoln Riley. I do not want to see a buddy-buddy relationship with my quarterback and my offensive coordinator and my head coach. I just want to see guys working together to have good games and win games. Like, it don't have to be super personal. And you have to find a balance of football and personal. And I think Thomas Brown is the mix of that. Like, he's a little bit more drill sergeant, but you could tell he's a player's guy. Like, you can't be too much of this and too much of that. So that's my only thing about hiring Cliff Kingsbury. But I'm being swayed by Alan from my podcast. Is that Cliff might be the guy, but I'm just a little weary of the personal relationship. That's really all. That's all I got for that. But if it works, it works. I'm for it.
Yeah, I mean, the Chicago Bears did interview Cliff Kingsbury last year to be their offensive coordinator, and they declined. Why?
That's correct.
I would have to imagine the Bears are not exempt from making the wrong decision, obviously. But I would have to imagine a lot of people would speculate. They'd say, okay, Cliff Kingsbury was a threat to Eberflus. Cliff Kingsbury is going to take Eberflus's job.
I saw that.
Right?
I saw that.
I don't take any stock into that whatsoever. I think even before you saw what Caleb Williams was in the NFL, they believed in him, and they wanted to make the best decision for him. Obviously, they chose the wrong decision because they not only fired the offensive coordinator, but they fired the head coach. I don't know. I think that Cliff Kingsbury still has the trait of his offenses failing after so long. They're able to figure it out. J2K, I think you're in here, buddy. I adore your comment on Cliff Kingsbury's paint by numbers offense, right? He's making it easy on the quarterback. and that has not been made easy on Caleb Williams. We saw from, as per Adam Johns, Caleb Williams was reported to have had a pure progression offense installed, which essentially is the hardest offense to run. So I don't know, man. They're not making it easy on him. And my master plan at head coach, which will never happen, we'll get to that in a bit. But the guy who I want to be the head coach for the Chicago Bears, he's the best at making football easy for your quarterback. And that's why, one of the reasons I want this guy on the Bears. And we'll get to that in a second. What else are we looking forward to, though, regarding the San Francisco 49ers game? I know someone in chat just said this. Want to see a big game from Rome Odunze. G. Walker, do you remember the last time? Do you remember the last time a number 15 playing wide receiver for the Chicago Bears played against the San Francisco 49ers in California? Do you remember what I'm talking about?
I know it's not Kevin White.
I'm talking about Brandon Marshall's 3-touchdown game against the 49ers.
Yeah, Brandon Marshall,
Why can't Rome Odunze have 3 touchdowns tomorrow against the 49ers?
Yeah, why not? Why not? He can.
Why not?
He can. DJ Moore is a little banged up. He got a quad injury right now. You never know how he's going to play. You know what I mean? But we'll see, man. Like Rome, I think Rome can have a good game, man. I would love to see Rome have that game that Keenan Allen had with a couple of touchdowns, man. Like I believe in Rome, man. He's hard to take down. He's a big catch radius guy. He's 6'3", 215, maybe 217 pounds. He can run. You can put him in the back. Hey, man. If anybody can do it, it's him. I would love to see Rome have a great game, man.
Now,
I'm looking forward to it.
You were about to say put him in the backfield, things of that nature. Normally, in a vacuum, I would agree. I think that Rome Odunze is a special talent, a special athlete.
Like
That's
backfield,
DJ. That
backfield. You know
is
what I'm
DJ.
talking about, man.
Well, no, I
Not
don't mean to put you on the spot, but we literally
Yeah.
saw DJ Moore in the backfield last game. DJ Moore is that tool. He's the yak guy, right? I think that that's his role. But the thing here, I'm speculative that DJ Moore might not play tomorrow. If that quad injury is that bad, he's had 10 days to rest up. I'll throw up the injury report. Mr. DJ Moore is questionable. Thankfully, he's not doubtful. Would I be surprised if DJ Moore doesn't play against the 49ers tomorrow? Not at all.
I mean, it's going to come down to what him how his body feels, and how Thomas Brown. It's going to be a whole conversation for if can he help the team, or is he going to hurt the team? That's the question. Are you going to be able to help us, or are you going to hurt us, bro? If you're going to hurt us, sit this one out. Let the number 9 pick come in here and get some reps at number 1 wide receiver. But if you can play, you can be DJ Moore. Come on, bro. But we need you to be able to be productive and not just out there on the field looking hurt. Please don't do that. Please.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I don't want to say I fell in love with Rome Odunze because it's not that serious, but I'm a fan of the University of Michigan. And the University of Michigan had an undefeated season in 2023 where they beat those. I don't know if Todd. I can't think of Todd's screen name. But those Washington Huskies, right? The University of Michigan, they're the national champions. They beat Rome Odunze in the national championship game. But Rome Odunze had a fantastic game against the great Will Johnson. You'll know who Will Johnson is, G. Walker, if you don't already. Give about 15 picks in this year's draft. You'll hear his name. He's a fantastic cornerback. Rome Odunze had a great game against the kid, right? So I knew then and there that Rome Odunze arrived. Then I watched Rome Odunze light up the NFL Combine, stay after to do some extra drills. Loved him there, started to mock him to the Bears. Then all of a sudden, oh my God, they're on the same plane. They're buddy-buddy before they're getting drafted. I wish that you could have saw my reaction to the Bears drafting Rome Odunze. I should have filmed it. I was hyped too,
man. No, I was hyped, man. I was hyped.
Yeah, I jumped up,
I was
screamed.
hyped, man.
I remember my girlfriend was
And
talking
it's
to
like
her mom. She's like, Carl, shut up.
The new era Bears.
Yeah, man.
Moving into the new era.
This is what the Bears never do. I did watch them draft Kevin White, and that experiment went down the hill, right? But the Bears never draft elite talent at wide receiver. They always middle around, try and get some run-of-the-mill guys. It started with acquiring DJ Moore via trade. They needed that, and that was obviously for Justin Fields in the moment. But they have a really good wide receiver core, and I hope that they can take advantage of that. A lot of people will tell you, though, that with Shane Waldron, they were misusing their personnel. I'd have to agree with that. I mean, there was a prime example against the Jaguars, and we whipped the Jaguars, right? But the one time that I watched film with the Bears Country podcast, they had Keenan Allen run the short out and they had DJ Moore run to the back of the pylon, which I think a taller wide receiver like Keenan Allen would be better used. It's just one example, but I know
Yeah,
that
I agree.
Shane Waldron was not utilizing the talent correctly. So all this in a roundabout way to say, I wish that the Chicago Bears would treat Rome Odunze as the wide receiver number one in the playbook, and let's feed him. Let's have Caleb Williams throw the ball 15 times, and they have at least like 6, 7 of those targets go to Rome, man. Let's just see what we got. Again, to your original point, what do we have to lose?
Yeah, man. What do we have to lose, man? And I know DJ Moore's getting the money, and sometimes the guy that's getting a big bag is going to get the throws, man. Sometimes that's just what it is until that guy gets hurt. Unfortunately, it's what it is. But I think he's going to come along. What he got? I think he has 600 yards almost in receiving yards this year already.
Let me see if I can
So
put the stats together.
He's having an okay year as the number 3 wide receiver. He's 3, right?
Yeah, he has to be the third option in my opinion because he's had these clips where he's breaking free, he's doing a double move and naked down the field, and it's quite simply they're not even looking at him because again he's the third option.
Yeah, he's a number 9 pick and he's your third option. Come on, man! This kid is a number 1 wide receiver, and it's just that we got DJ Moore in that position right now. But hey, man, I want to see Rome go out there, man, and go crazy, man. I really do. I want to see the future. I want to see the future a little bit more. We know what DJ Moore is, but I want to see what Rome Odunze is with, like you say, with 7 to 6 targets, man. See what he can do, rack up some yards.
So Rome Odunze in the season, as things stand currently, he's got 543 yards. But the key here is that he has a 13.2 yard average per catch, and that's 3.2. My math's off there, but essentially 3 yards more per average than DJ Moore. Rome Odunze is showing that he has explosive capability, in my opinion. He only has the 1 touchdown, but I feel like when I talk about this topic that I'm kind of diminishing what DJ Moore's value is, right? DJ Moore is a number 1 wide receiver in the NFL too. He's a fantastic player. But there's something off, and now I don't have to speculate. It's right there in front of you guys. DJ Moore is literally hurt. I've been saying this for a bit. They've been using him in this gadget role, and maybe that's because they want to get the ball into his arms faster. But end of the day, let's see what we got with the kid. There was a comment in chat that I wanted to throw up on the screen. Here we go. Go ahead if you had something to say.
I just don't think DJ Moore is 6'3", 215 pounds with a giant catch radius. It's just what it is. Sometimes it's just the physical ability. Everybody has limitations. What DJ Moore is good at, middle of the field slants, you know what I mean, comebacks and all that. He's not the guy that you're going to throw the ball up high to. You know what I mean? We saw that when Caleb Williams threw the ball right to his hands. That I think it was third down. It was a 3rd and 4. It was a long 3rd and 14 that last game, and Caleb put it right on his hands and he tried to catch it with his chest. I don't think Rome Odunze does. I think Rome Odunze put his hands way up and comes down with that ball. So I just want to see DJ.
Just to say, I've seen Rome Odunze drop the football. I've also seen DJ Moore drop the football. I've also seen Keenan Allen drop the football. So it's just that, these things happen. They'll figure it out. But I think that they need to continue to build that chemistry, build that connection, because now it's not about winning the Super Bowl this year, man. It's not going to happen. Let's build the connection. Let's lay the foundation for next year. Because, again, anything that I've said up to Caleb Williams at this point, I almost want to say carbon copy for Rome Odunze. Ideally, Rome Odunze is going to be here for the duration that Caleb Williams is. They'll be paired lockstep like your Peyton Manning and Marvin Harrison Jr., right? That's your connection moving forward. I think that's very important to get them both on the same page with each other. They're already really far along there, but let's just really seal the deal and get these reps in. Just want to say hello to chat again. There's a lot of guys in chat. We really, really appreciate you guys. Obviously, I've been talking about J2K. I've got your question, J2K. I'm going to ask it in a second. I see Plank. Mr. Foster, I see the Chicago Sports Podcast. How's it going, buddy? I see the Ghost of Judah Tribe, unfortunately, but hello to you, sir. Hope you're doing well as well, man. Jeremy Munoz is in chat. I am seeing, I already said hello to Scottish, but I can say hello to Scottish again. Mr. Cliff Victoria is in the chat. And we've got, I thought there was one more name that I'm missing. I don't know how to pronounce this name, man. Is it Angus? I'm not going to pronounce that last name. I'll say Angus. How's it going, buddy? I'll address your comment. really quickly. You're so done with the Thomas Brown propaganda. Again, I think that boils down to the media kind of really falling in love with the way that he speaks, right? It's important. And I honestly think that it's more important that he's the head coach because that attribute is a lot more important when you're speaking to the team as a whole and not just, a section of the offense or the offense as a whole. I think that that's strong suit of Thomas Brown is going to be much better suited as the head coach. Again, there he is. Triple R. How's it going, buddy? I saw you as well. Just want to make sure I don't miss anyone, but we don't have to be that thorough. So, G Walker, I will ask you a question vicariously through J2K. Are we excited to see Adrian Colbert play, the safety who's going to be elevated essentially for Elijah Hicks? I also think that it was a cool story, what we saw with Hard Knocks.
Yeah, like I was excited to hear because he was on Hard Knocks. Man, he had a great story about surviving. I think he was in a car accident or something, got hit or something like that.
It was
it
was a car accident, but he was on a bike.
He was on a bike, okay. But we kept Velus Jones Jr. That pissed me off. I'm like, why keep this guy? And Poles was crying and he was crying and everything. Oh my God, this is tough. You're such a good person, but you don't keep him. So now he's back on the active roster, man. I want to see this kid. I think he deserves a shot. He keeps on coming back. He's been in the NFL a while, on teams, off teams. So, yeah, I'm excited to see him play, man. I hope he come out there and he shuts down a side of the field, get a couple of PBUs, maybe an interception. I'm all for whatever works, man. So
he had that fantastic pass breakup in preseason against the Chiefs, right? Literally laid out to save
He flew across the field. Yeah, he flew across the field. So if he can give us that and just good play, man, I'm good with it. You know what I'm saying? I'm good. I hope he does well. I hope he puts up good film.
Colbert, I think that because you referred to him as a kid, he's anything but. I think that this is his 9th or his 10th team in that many seasons. This guy has been around. And I think that there was a bit of a connection between himself and Ryan Poles. So when he had to cut him on Hard Knocks, that wasn't bullshit. He had rapport with him. He was genuinely upset. He literally started crying before he told him. Crying told Colbert everything he needed to know. But what did we just talk about with Thomas Brown, Eric Washington? There's nothing to lose, right? Adrian Colbert, bro, you're on the street. Just fucking lay it out on the line, buddy. Let's have a fantastic game. Again, treat it as if there's no tomorrow. Hell, maybe you can get your way back onto a team. Maybe it's the Bears next year, assuming Elijah Hicks is someone that maybe we can't retain. I have no idea the status of his contract. But that's how you have to think about it, man. All these guys. You've got to come out and just play like there's no tomorrow. I'm comfortable with Colbert, man. His running mate's going to be the great... God, I can't think of anyone's name today. This happens to me often. The safety that we got from Tennessee who ended up going to the Philadelphia Eagles via trade, but Kevin Byard. I don't know how I'm letting these names escape my mind. Kevin Byard, I think the world of him. So if he's going to be kind of the guy who's more back, maybe Adrian Colbert. I don't know how they're going to handle that. But I don't know if you want Adrian Colbert being your last line of defense, so to speak. I think that they'll rely on Kevin Byard to be the safety blanket. So Colbert, go out and just do your thing, have a fantastic game, and we'll see what happens with that. Again, we're not playing for the Super Bowl.
Right.
All right, man. I think what I want to talk about now is your short list. Because everyone's got this list going on, and I want this to be something that is well documented with whoever I speak with. If you had to pick, give me 3 names that you would like to see as far as a Chicago Bears head coach next year. Can include Thomas Brown, cannot, do whatever you want, but 3 names. Give me a short list. What do you got?
I got Thomas Brown. I got Mike Vrabel. For some reason, I like his care. I like Mike Vrabel. I don't think he always had the right quarterback, but Mike Vrabel seems like a good one. And and like I said, man, my boy is starting to sway me on Cliff Kingsbury, man, because I'm trying to see, can he open up the playbook more with Caleb Williams than he did with what's the guy's name in Arizona? The short kid, the short guy.
The man from South Korea, Kyler Murray?
Kyler Murray. Like, can he do a better job with Caleb than he did with Kyler Murray? Because he flamed out in Arizona. So what would be the thing that makes Cliff Kingsbury work here with the quarterback that's probably, he can run around, he could throw it, they're better with Caleb Williams. But I'm starting to lean towards that. So give me Thomas Brown, give me Mike Vrabel, and then give me Cliff Kingsbury.
So you have gone through some very, very realistic options, and I appreciate that. I agree with you. The thing that scares me about Mike Vrabel has nothing to do with his ability to lead a football team or coach.
Right.
It's that I view
Hmm.
him as the absolute 100% opposite of George McCaskey. Is George McCaskey going to bring that into his organization and allow that to be the head football coach? I don't know about that.
I
Yeah,
mean, because you got to
Dan.
think about it. Who is the person that's going to resemble, because people are saying that, that Kevin Warren went up there and said, hey, yeah, Ryan's the guy. He's the point man for this coaching situation. He's the guy. I'm not sure about that. So I think the head coach that they pick is going to resemble Kevin Warren a little bit more. Whatever Kevin Warren's personality is, I think that head coach, whoever's his strongest personality, is the same. That'll probably be our head coach for the Chicago Bears. It's going to
Yeah,
reflect the president.
I agree with you. I would hope they're not lying to us. I'm sure they are. But I do think that as things stand currently, it's
Right.
Kevin Warren being a resource for one Ryan Poles. The fact of the
Right.
matter is that Ryan Poles' decisions are going to have the implications of Ian Cunningham as well. I would hope that if Ian Cunningham is going to be getting a job as a general manager somewhere else, that it's not something that, Ryan Poles is relying on Ian Cunningham. But those are going to be the two guys, in my opinion, and Kevin Warren is going to be a resource for them. So if you're looking at like a Venn diagram, it's going to be one of those triangles with that overlaying, right? But
Right.
again, end of the day, that Venn diagram is still sitting on the big circle of ownership that is the McCaskey family and the Chicago Bears. So they have to
Especially
sign
if
up.
you got Thomas Brown. And McCaskey's a cheap. So you got a cheap guy who's elevating your whole offense, your whole franchise in Thomas Brown. So everybody gets what they want. You get the guy that costs a lot of money, and you get the guy that's developing your quarterback, and he was already on your staff. So that's my first choice, man. You want to be cheap, you got a guy that's on your staff right now that's looking like he's the real head coach that he could be, man.
Yeah, and again,
Especially
Sears Tower account. That Sears Tower account doesn't mean much of anything at the end of the day, but I do feel like the McCaskey family, the Chicago Bears, have that sense of urgency because they know they've got something special at the quarterback position.
Oh
So
yeah, man, you can tell.
I hope that money doesn't come into this whatsoever. So I would love to give my viewpoints on this, obviously, but fuck, man, that's crazy how fast things escape my memory. I got it back though. So the one name that we haven't said even once in about 45 minutes here, Ben Johnson. Haven't said a word about Ben Johnson.
Oh
A
yeah,
a
that's
lot of people are going to tell you that he's the out and out top candidate, period. But we're
I've
not
been
even
seeing
talking
that.
about him, man. Are you interested in the Lions offensive coordinator whatsoever?
I am. It's just I just want to be realistic because one, why would he leave a good situation? You got the running backs, you got the head coach, you got the quarterback, you got the offensive line. Your defense is kind of hurt right now. You got guys hurt everywhere. But why leave that? You guys are hot right now. Unless he feels like golf is at its peak. Like a lot of people love a challenge. The challenge. Okay, you're gonna pair yourself with a young quarterback and a challenge to get him in the prime, get him in his prime to get to a Super Bowl. Maybe he feel like golf is not a project anymore. But other than that, I don't really see him leaving the Detroit Lions with them going to the playoffs, potentially winning the NFC North, being the best NFC team. I don't see him realistically coming here unless he just wants a challenge and be Caleb Williams his coach. Like I don't see it, man. I just don't see it. I would love it, but he's never been a head coach himself before. So, like they say,
That's
some guys are just coordinators. Like he's just a coordinator. It's a slippery slope again.
Yeah, I mean that's the thing. We're talking about Thomas Brown being the head coach potentially. While he has never been a head coach, that's about to change tomorrow. So we're gonna know if Thomas Brown is the guy or not because we have the best possible interview in the world, a live
Well,
5 game
yes.
interview right in front of us, right? Can you
Yeah.
really roll the dice? There's going to be two factors to Ben Johnson. You have no idea how he operates as a head coach, and he's going to call plays as
That's true, man.
as a head
Yeah.
coach. Period. Right? He's going to be the offensive coordinator as well. But can he
Yeah.
juggle that with the responsibilities that Matt Eberflus proved were too much for him? So
Right.
do we really want
Yeah.
to roll the dice and waste time in this window that we have with a great quarterback on a rookie contract? And in addition, you have to pay Ben Johnson a lot of money because, like it or not, he is a top candidate, and someone's going
Yeah.
to say, "I need this for my franchise." Whether it flames out, whatever the case is, they're going to have to take a swing on it. I don't know if he's going to become the highest paid head coach in the NFL, but he is going to get a lot of money. And that one of the reasons for that is, like you said, why would he leave? He didn't leave last year after having head coaching interviews, but I think that was very much because Dan Campbell, who abuses the hell out of caffeine without taking cocaine, he was off 1,000 milligrams of that good stuff. He had the vein in his head popping out. He was yelling. He's like, you got to stay one more year. Because the Lions will tell you that they're the Super Bowl favorites. They wanted to run it back, and so far, so good regarding that.
It's going to be so hard. Just the fan base. Everybody sees if Thomas Well does great, like you said, go 3-2. He's in the trenches. Got Caleb on track. Got Caleb 3,800 passing yards. He's doing everything. Getting Keaton that like, yo, it is going to be hard for them to say we're going with somebody else. He's already been a part of the chaos under Eberflus. He's been a part of this whole process, and he's the one that's lifting it up. So to go from that and to turn around and hire somebody else that you don't know, who has never been in your building, has never been a head coach, that's, for me personally, that's going to be hard. That's going to be hard.
The Bears would be in a very unique situation, right? They'd say, okay, we've got, because he's the interim, but I think if Thomas Brown is a head coach next year, it'd be his rookie year, right? So the Bears could say, yeah, we have a rookie, unproven head coach, but we also have continuity. That would be a very unique situation, especially for the Bears, who had previously never fired their head coach. I wanted to highlight Scottish Bears' comment here because Joe Brady, or he says that Joe Brady is a dark horse, links to Phil Snow and no Trace Armstrong. So for the record, Joe Brady is the offensive coordinator for the Buffalo Bills. So one thing here, I do not take stock into the offensive coordinator of Josh Allen, the offensive coordinator for Lamar Jackson, having success.
Right.
I don't give them that much credit. They deserve credit, but I personally don't give them that much credit because these quarterbacks are fucking phenomenal. You guys
like
on
Eric,
the Bears Country podcast,
Eric Bieniemy guy, Eric Bieniemy. Everybody wanted Eric Bieniemy, and he got Mahomes, and that. You see what I'm saying? So I agree with you.
Yeah, Eric Bieniemy, who literally just got fired today. By the way, I forgot what college job he just got fired from.
Yeah, he got fired.
That you're proving my point right there, right? But I was just gonna say, go back into the Bears Country Productions archives, man. I said that Josh Allen would still find a way to somehow be the MVP. I don't care that they got rid of 2 stars on the offensive line, their entire secondary decimated, retooling year.
You're right.
Nope. That's what the Bears are going to have in a couple years with Caleb Williams. Josh Allen, doesn't matter what team he goes to, he can go to the local college, bring those kids up with him to the NFL. That team is going to be fucking competitive because Josh Allen is a fantastic goddamn quarterback. Copy paste.
And I knew he was going to be good once they got rid of Diggs. Yeah, and Allen having
that's a completely separate conversation, G. Walker. I identified Diggs as a locker room cancer. That was addition by subtraction.
Me too. Yeah, because he's having his best year. He haven't even thrown that many interceptions. Forcing that guy to ball every year, man. Come on, man. Forcing it. But again, now he's playing his best ball.
Copy paste what I just said about Josh Allen, Lamar Jackson, fan-fucking-tastic quarterback in the regular season. If you guys watch the NFL Ski, the League Report channel that I do on the Lions Mind channel and the Bear Ski Films channel, I said that Lamar Jackson has the Peyton Manning-itis. He's never going to be elite in the playoffs, and that's just what it is. But again, these guys, Joe Brady, Todd Monken, the offensive. I don't know if Todd Monken is the offensive coordinator for the Buccaneers. Don't take too much stock into him because I think that Baker Mayfield is fantastic. But again, we don't need to roll the dice with this quarterback situation.
No, man.
I think that we need to go out and get something really concrete because you roll the dice. I guess I'll rather say the clock is right for the broken clock is right as far as the quarterback search. Right. It's finally our time. We finally got our quarterback. So my philosophy has been this. Why do you have to chance it with this run-of-the-mill situation? Let's get proactive. G. Walker, let's trade for a fucking head coach. I was the first person. Let me tell you. If you go on Twitter, let's do it together. Let's see if we can do this together. Okay. Let me see if I can do this.
That Kyle Shanahan bullshit. No, man.
Nope. No,
Please, God.
I'm gonna open your third eye, buddy. We're gonna do this together, all right? I'm apologizing in advance if I reveal anything I'm not supposed to. I hope that you can see my screen, okay? We're gonna do this, okay? Hashtag McVay to Chicago.
McVay.
It's just me, man. I'm the lone wolf. McVay to Chicago right here. I was the first one to say it last Saturday. Let's go shock the world. If you want to talk about Kyle Shanahan, and we will, and I'm going to show you something that will dispel that, unfortunately. If you can get Kyle Shanahan, hell, maybe let's set some rules tomorrow. Winner of tomorrow's game gets to keep Kyle Shanahan. I'm all for that. But let's think outside the box. Let's think bigger.
You know what? This is a crazy. Hold on. We're going to have a top 10 pick, man. We have our second round pick, Carolina's second round pick, and we have a couple of thirds. I know we probably have a couple of thirds, and we still have so many holes in our offensive line and in our defensive line. So you're going to give that up, get a coach, bring him in here, and he has to start all over again and rebuild that anyway. This is a year off to me. I would not trade my picks for a coach right now, man. It's too many holes to be fixed, and just to restart that and lose those picks. I'm usually a guy you can sway me because everybody makes sense. A lot of people are right, but this one, hell no, I'm not trading my picks. I can't do
understand
that. We got to start
the picks are valuable. Let me see a little bit patchwork here. Can I show you this slide? Okay, G Walker. Sorry to cough, by the way. I need to go grab myself some water. I want you to take a look at this collection of names. I hope that you can see them. I'm gonna make it full screen for you.
I can see
these are all the head coaches that have been acquired with draft capital. What's the common denominator with these head coaches? I'll give it to you. Mike Holmgren and Herb Edwards are not Hall of Famers, right? And John Gruden, Sean Payton, they're probably not going to be Hall of Famers. Sean Payton's well on his way. But these are some goddamn good head coaches, man. If you're trading for a head coach, that means that you are getting the best of the best. And when you sit in a vacuum, obviously, I think that we can agree with the whole situation into consideration. I think Andy Reid's the best head coach. He's not going anywhere, but look at the Rams. The Rams are going to win the Super Bowl this year. They might squeak into the playoffs with a miracle. That franchise is in a bit of turmoil. And here's why I say it's impossible to get McVay, because the situation at hand is they still got a competitive roster. They dealt with some wide receiver injuries, so they might be more than comfortable with running it back. But let me present this. What if Matt Stafford says he wants to spend time with his wife, which Adam Mason, I think, told me was a no-go. But anyway, he's hurt. He doesn't want to deal with it anymore and wants to spend time with his wife. He wants to retire, okay? Cooper Kupp, who was on the trade block this year. Oh, man, my knees are bad. I can't spend a couple more years in the NFL without guaranteed success. Please, guys, you got to trade me to a contender. Okay, you've got Puka Nacua, who's still a good wide receiver. You've got a talented young defensive line. But does Sean McVay want to go through a rebuild?
I love what you're saying, bro.
In this scenario,
makes so much sense, man. And
there's so many layers to it, right? It's so far-fetched.
Yeah. It makes sense, man, because I'm thinking outside the box. Because, like I say, you're getting a young Caleb Williams that's coming into his prime that can throw off platform, that can be on script, off script. He's well at the podium. Like, he does everything right. It's just the fact that it's the Bears, man, and how much we screw up things to get us over the hump. Screw us up. So many things to get us over the hump. I want to believe in a Sean McVay coming here. I want to see them do stuff like that, but I just can't trust it, especially with the offensive line not being done, man. Like Ben Johnson, is he coming with that offensive line in Detroit? He's insulated as an offensive coordinator with everything that they built around him. So let's keep this perspective open. Just because everything you're seeing in golf and all, and Ben Johnson got a hell of an offensive line, man. So are they bringing that to Chicago? Like I'm skeptical, man. But I love what you're saying though about McVay. I love it though, man. I do.
I'm trying to find this proposed draft scenario because this would be my thought process. whether you want here's the image. Whether you want to apply this to Kyle Shanahan or Sean McVay, I
Yeah,
think that
McVay,
the
yeah.
argument is going to be one and the same, right? So this is
Yeah.
something that was floating around Twitter recently. It says, who says
Yeah, I
no?
saw that. Yeah.
The Bears
Yeah.
would be able to receive Kyle Shanahan and a 6th-round pick for not a 2025 first, but a 2026 first. And then this year's second via Carolina, as well as a
Woo!
4th-round pick next year. That's a lot to give up, right? I do hear what you said about our 1st-round pick. If it's a top 10 pick, even just a top 10 pick for any head coach in the NFL is a lot to pay. But
Yeah.
you tell the 49ers, hey, this 2nd-round pick is top 35, right? Top 40 at the very least. That's a really good asset for now. But then whoever you decide to bring in to replace Kyle Shanahan, you can figure out what you want to spend our 1st-round pick on next year. We feel confident that we're going to be better because Kyle Shanahan's a good coach. That's why we're trading for him. And you still get a 4th. I think that this would be a really fair trade both ways. Obviously, it's a lot of assets to give up. But the most recent trade that we saw regarding a head coach was Sean McVay. Sean McVay was traded. I'm sorry, yeah, thank you. Sean Payton. I made that mistake the last show I just did. Sean Payton was traded from the Saints, a.k.a. the Fox analyst desk, to the Broncos I've got it right here. It was for a 1st-round pick and a 2nd-round pick and a 3rd-round pick. So a slew of picks, right? But I think that 1st-round pick turned into Brian Bresee, who's a rotational at this point defensive lineman. Is that really that much? Because look at what Sean Payton's doing. He took Little Bo Nix, who I thought nothing of, and he's the Rookie of the Year front runner.
Make great points, bro.
That's the strongest argument that I have regarding getting the coach right. And if you believe that the clock is right twice a day and you got the quarterback right, let's finish the fucking deal.
You know what, man? You're making a lot of sense, man. And I'm for the one, whatever works. But it's just that, man, like that top 10 pick could be an offensive line, a tackle or something that we need.
And in that scenario I pointed out, we wouldn't be giving that up. But let's say the 49ers adored that pick for whatever reason. Just straight up. 10th overall for Kyle Shanahan. Again, it's fair. It sucks. It sucks, man. It sucks.
You know what? I would just have to see it to believe it. You know what I mean? Like, I'm one of those people, like, I can disagree with somebody and I can disagree, but if I see it and it works, I'm all for whatever works. But in the middle right now, that's tough. But like you said, when you said the 10th overall pick for Kyle Shanahan, yeah, that might be gone, bro. I'm not even gonna lie, like, that might be gone. And we got $80 million in cap space. Yeah, he come in and do his thing. Yeah, I might be. See, y'all starting to sway me, man. Cliff Kingsbury now, Kyle. Y'all doing a good job.
And with Kyle Shanahan, who is going to be the defensive coordinator for Kyle Shanahan? You know damn well that that's going to end up being Robert Saleh. And that'd be fucking awesome. Who's going to be the offensive coordinator for the Chicago Bears if Sean McVay is traded for? He's not going to have a prominent role. But if we like Thomas Brown that much, Thomas Brown was Sean McVay's assistant and head coach. He's going to run it back. You're going to say, Thomas Brown, go do your interviews. If you don't get the job that you want this year, that you really desire, just stay with the Bears, run it back 1 year, we're going to do well. Then he's going to be the Ben Johnson next year, man. I promise you that.
Hey, man, you know what? I can see it, man. Like, I like what you did right there, man. Yeah. Kyle Shanahan, yeah.
Are you fucking kidding me, Jeremy Munoz? Are you asking if that's a self-portrait? You're funny as hell, bro. You've never seen Death Note? I love you, Jeremy Munoz. That's funny as hell, bro. Scottish Bear had a comment that chat's reacting to. He's saying, one thing I give Ben Johnson credit for, he took over for Anthony Lynn, who was a disaster. If you think about it, he saved everyone's job, including Dan Campbell. He was getting fired. Yep. After the first year, Dan Campbell looked like a bust. Or at least, the first half of that first year, right?
Right.
So you're absolutely right. But again, the Lions are a historically terrible football team. They spent how many assets in their offensive line? You're telling me that Caleb Williams couldn't look as good as Goff does behind that offensive line?
That's what I'm saying. Like, is he bringing the offensive line with him? Come on, man. Come on.
Yeah. I'd have to agree.
Go ahead.
I was just gonna say I have to agree, man. I mean, I just don't see the Ben Johnson effect. I think that it's way too risky. I will give it to you guys. It has high potential because I don't
Yeah.
think much of Jared Goff. The Bears could get the offensive line right, especially if they were to, I don't know. I'm thinking about doing some sort of mock off season because I think that'd be a lot of fun. But if you are able to either acquire Trey Smith, which I don't think will happen, I know Foster mentioned that or is on that, or if you keep Tevin Jenkins and Tevin Jenkins is able to stay healthy and you draft one more guard, you can make this thing look real good real fast, right? But
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
don't know.
Yeah.
I just think that it's
No,
too risky.
I mean, you're right. That's what I'm saying. Like, Caleb is making chicken salad out of chicken shit. Like, now that he's using the RPO, he's running around. He's not taking as many sacks. He's getting his gaps. He's hitting his lanes. It's like, might as well just keep building this thing, man. Like, and
Cliff?
just build it and build it.
No, I would implore you, G Walker, if you know who Adam Mason is. Adam Mason's going to be doing a lot of content regarding the NFL draft, and everyone's going to be talking about it. But the fact of the matter is that this draft class is chop loaded with trenches talent. A lot of good offensive linemen, an even more outstanding amount of defensive linemen. So if you're worried about the trenches, I think that even without a first round pick, I think that we can really drastically improve. And
But do
when
you trust
talk-
Poles doing that, man? See, that's what I'm like. Do you trust them doing it?
Yeah,
It's been 3 years.
I'm gonna do another video. I think next week. Let's go over the hits and misses on Ryan Poles because Ryan Poles has had some misses.
That's gonna be fun, bro.
He traded for Chase Claypool. He
did.
kept Nate Davis way too long, but there are some other
did.
good moves that he really got. A lot of people will tell you that the trade with Carolina was lucky, which it's hard to refute that. But again, hardest thing, not in football, not in baseball or anything else, hardest thing in sports to get the quarterback right.
Get the quarterback
Ryan
right.
Poles did it. Ryan Poles
He did it, man, and that's why he's gonna keep his
Justin
job.
Fields. Imagine if he went with the status quo. Let's keep Justin Fields. Let's get one more wide receiver. Let's build up the trenches. You still don't have the quarterback right.
You cooking, bro? Yeah,
But he got it right now, man.
Yeah. He's saving his job, and all the things that Poles did wrong, like just for the fact that he pretty much told Caleb, "Hey, man, it's all on you." Indirectly, you're just drafting, not building that online, and your quarterback is still looking like what he's supposed to look. You have 3 years to build this thing, dude. Like, that's amazing. Just his talent alone, and Caleb Williams, Ryan Poles hit it on the head with Caleb, man. Just like you were saying, he hit it, bro. Because if Caleb was struggling a little bit more, struggling way more, Ryan Poles would probably be fired. Guarantee it.
It's possible.
Gone.
I don't know. I don't know about that, but it's definitely possible. I just don't want this comment from Cliff Victoria to get lost in the wash here. He says, nobody considers Mike Shanahan. He taught Kyle. Well, he's his father. And then he goes on to say, Mike Shanahan was also signed by Denver, almost signed rather, by Denver in 2018. Cliff, let me open up your third eye to this, okay? Mike Shanahan was the guy who helped draft Kirk Cousins in the same year that they took Robert Griffin III. And then Mike Shanahan was the guy who told John Lynch about Brock Purdy. So it's not fully his job, but Mike Shanahan is employed currently as the shadow GM of the 49ers. I have no doubt about that. Cliff, if you like Mike Shanahan, he might end up coming to the Bears once we acquire Kyle Shanahan via a win tomorrow.
I'm excited. You got me hype about this coach stuff, man. I ain't gonna lie.
Yeah, I mean, we got to find something to talk about, but at the end of the day, I mean, when there's smoke, there's fire. I'm honestly proud of. I don't want to say proud of myself. I hate tooting my own horn, man. But this last,
we need to do that more. Keep doing it. Keep doing it.
I showed you on the screen. There's no hashtag Mike McVay to Chicago anywhere. I was the first person to throw this out last Saturday, and now we're seeing every big organization, CHGO, you name it, they've said it. Let's trade for a head coach. I started to trend on that one.
And how you broke it down makes perfect sense for a person like me who doesn't want to give up draft capital. And how you formed your argument, man, and your take. I gotta agree with you, bro.
Here,
Like
I don't know if I said this. Do you know what the average career of an NFL football player is in the NFL?
Gotta be 2.5 years.
It's like 3-4 years, right?
Okay.
If you could trade a top 10 pick for 10 to 15 years of stability at any position, would you do it?
You
Let
do it,
alone the
yeah, man. You're
head
right.
coach?
Yeah.
We're not
So
asking
my boy
Kyle
Allen was
Shanahan to
saying
come
that
in here.
Shanahan is a grinder. He doesn't want Shanahan. He says he's a grinder of his players. You know what I mean? He grinds them real hard, and after 3-4 years, they're done. So that was another reason why I didn't really want him to come to the Chicago Bears, because he's going to grind these guys out a little bit too much. So, and I don't want that. I don't want that. But you guys make great arguments, man. Like, they're great takes, man, on why it should be. That's good. Seriously.
Yeah.
15 years stability for a top 10 pick, that makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, that's the thing. You're not trading this high valuable asset for an offensive coordinator who's going to have one good year and leave. We're talking about a head coach. So
Yeah.
just keep an eye on the Broncos situation. How good is that franchise going to look in about 5 years with Sean Payton? Because I think Sean Payton will still be there. That would be a good barometer. But again, I see the success that Bo Nix is having. And it's like that meme. I don't have it. I wish I could play it on the screen. You know, I've seen what you've done for others, and I want that for myself.
I want that for myself.
Give me Sean McVay, man. All right,
I'm
G.
all
Walker.
in, man. Whatever works, man. Come on, do it.
Do you have any other points you want to discuss? I want to get a prediction out of yourself, and I could throw this on the screen now. But if you have anything else you want to say, obviously, please feel free. But I'd love to know your prediction for the game tomorrow as well.
I really just don't have nothing else to say, man. I'm enjoying Caleb Williams, man. I'm enjoying watching him be the dual threat quarterback, man. I'm enjoying watching him run. I'm enjoying watching him be clutch in the fourth quarter. I'm enjoying Keenan Allen actually getting looks. I'm just enjoying this offense and what Thomas Brown is doing, man. It's not the season where we're winning. We won more games, but it didn't happen. I'm happy for the fact that we have a quarterback that's looking like he's looking good, rather than the offense or the team playing good in spite of him playing like shit. You see what I'm saying? Like, he's the one that's making it go to a certain extent.
I mean, if you were to look at Caleb Williams' stats, a lot of Bears fans would tell you, I would love to have these stats for my quarterback before the season even started, right? And he's doing this with such dysfunction at the coaching level.
We got the guy, so that's enjoyable, man. It's just that it's the first half, but that's all I got, man. It's the Caleb Williams show, man. It's the Thomas Brown show. These guys they're gonna be playing, like I say, balls to the wall, football to ball. This is gonna be probably the best looking Chicago Bears team that we've seen, probably from a preparation standpoint, since Flus has been here. So I cannot wait. But my score prediction, Dan got Bears 28-17. I think I'm gonna go with PJ. 24-16 Bears, man. I just think that the San Francisco 49ers, man, they pretty banged up, man. No Ayuk, no McCaffrey. They got a rookie running back coming in. I just think this is a winnable game. This is where Eberflus sucked at. Winning a winnable game. When you do the matchups and you look at the teams with the injuries, you look at all this stuff, and somehow we were still losing these games. I think Thomas Brown's going to break the mold. They're going to win our first probably winnable game all year. I got the Bears 24-16.
Love it. Yeah, I mean, I'm not expecting this, but I'm exceptionally hopeful that we see the Brandon Marshall Part 2 game from Rome Odunze. Three touchdowns from our 9th overall draft pick, thrown to him from the 1st overall pick, by the way. I got 31-17 just for the fact that I think that the 49ers will score more points than they have the last 2 weeks. The Bears defense is not going to be able to just stifle them and shut them down completely. And it's in California, right? But that said, it's in California. Hopefully good throwing conditions. I don't know what the weather looks like whatsoever tomorrow. But I'm hoping that Caleb Williams can play free and can, sling the rock and throw some touchdowns, especially early. Let's get off to a quick start.
Yes.
Holy smokes, I had something I wanted to ask you, and again, it's slipping my mind right now.
Let me say this, because if Caleb Williams plays well in the first half, it's gonna be because of Rome Odunze. Something's gonna have to clip with these first halves. So your nugget, what you're saying, if we really do well tomorrow, it's because it's gonna happen in the first half with Rome and Caleb. It has to snap out of this shit. Like, it gotta snap out of somewhere.
Before I lose it, G. Walker, I wanted to ask you if you feel that there was anything from the head coach perspective to say to Caleb Williams, I don't care if you throw for 500 yards, 6 touchdowns. Caleb Williams, I cannot have you throw any interceptions. Did you get the sense that the Bears were telling him that, specifically Matt Eberflus, and he was being coached to kind of be passive in that sense?
I think so. And I was always asking, like, Alan, man, he's our football guy. He played football, man. He knows a lot of stuff about stuff like that. I asked him, I said, what is it with a defensive head coach that will hold his quarterback back? He said he wants to save his defense. That's what defensive coaches, they want to save their defense. So I agree that they were holding them back. They were holding them back, man. They were holding them back based off the coach, because it's not like the Caleb Williams we seeing now is something that just happened. We saw it in college. We seeing it now. So the fact that the head coach is gone and then Thomas Brown, the offensive coordinator, comes in and say, I'm going to just adjust and play the player's strengths. I don't play. I'm going to just adjust to whatever they want to do. And he did it. That lets you know right there that it was the coach. And they pretty much told on Eberflus when he said that, like, I'm going to just do what the players want me. Like, come on, man. Like, it's crazy, man. It's crazy.
Yeah, I've got a little bit of catch up to do here. So let me start with J2K's comment on the screen. He says that float coach to be passive. Look at the linebackers who don't hit their gaps, and same with the defensive tackles. So if you're seeing the scheme on defense being passive, it would be such an easy thing to also see that he was asking the offense to not hurt his defense, a.k.a. Caleb Williams, please don't throw an interception, which, credit to him, he has the rookie passing record of throwing completed consecutive passes without an interception. So kudos to him, but I think that we're capping him and we're not allowing him to play to his ceiling. That said, with J2K's comment, if you guys are watching the content now, whether it's on the Bears Country Productions channel or the Lions My channel, please make sure that on Mondays, or I think it's Mondays or Tuesdays, I'm sorry, J2K, I can't remember. I think it's the Tuesday show. Bears Country Productions will break down the All-22. So if you guys are into the nitty-gritty of stuff like that, where J2K, that comment's not bullshit. He's watching the damn film, so trust J2K. He knows what he's talking about. You guys should check out the All-22 videos on Tuesdays as well. Thank you, J2K, Tuesday. Now, Mr. Scottish Bear. He says, smash them likes on both channels. I had done a good job of this last week, but this week not so much. If you guys are not aware, if you're listening to my voice right now, whether that's live or on the past broadcast, we are simulcasting this currently to both the Bears Country Productions and the Lions My channels. If you guys are not subscribed to either of those channels, please consider subscribing to any of them. And if you don't subscribe, that's totally fine. Give me a like, give me a dislike, drop a comment. I appreciate that stuff more because the feedback is what I value this. Just like what I'm talking with G Walker, I enjoy the interaction with yourself, with chat. I think that's what I value the most out of this entire thing.
It's fun, man. Yeah, the chat, and they bring up points that they be small talk pieces. You know what I'm saying? So they bring up stuff that you can use in the show. So it's perfect. Yep.
Absolutely. Now, Shorty, you had said, write that shit down, Carl. I'll try and figure out when you dropped that comment, but I don't know what you're talking about, man.
I didn't see it either,
Yeah. G Walker, as I think I'm done with my catch-up here, any closing statements from yourself? And if anything, if you've got nothing left, please just tell the audience where we can find you guys, man. I know you and your co-host are doing your thing over on Facebook. For you guys who are interested in some Facebook comment, they do some great stuff over there. And I know that the podcast is their videos are broadcasted on YouTube, of course, and the link for their channel is already in the description. So if you guys are not subscribed as well, please consider subscribing to the CNG podcast. Anything else, Twitter, anywhere else that you'd like the audience to be able to find you guys at?
Yeah, we're on X, we're on Facebook, we're on YouTube, man. We're CNG. Why would you type in CNG podcast, or whether you're Facebook or you're on X, you're on YouTube, we'll pop up along with me, CJ, and Alan. It's three of us. But my final thoughts is this: we got the quarterback, man. We got the quarterback. It's fun to watch him, man. It's fun to watch a quarterback go through his progressions. 1, 2, 3, 4, whatever it takes, man. He doesn't quit. He's always ready to play. He wants to win. Super competitive. So it's very entertaining and it's very satisfying that we end up being lucky to get him with the help of Carolina and the Houston Texans and Lovie Smith. It's amazing, man. So I'm enjoying it, man. I'm not one of these people that's going to sit up here and be like, oh, we're 4-8. Like, nah, man, we got the guy. You can't just look at the record and think that the record is a quarterback winning stat. To me personally, a quarterback can do a lot of things. They can lead you to victory and they can lose you games. But in the middle of all that type of stuff, man, guess what? It's all about what that quarterback does in the game, which is manage the game. So far, Caleb doesn't throw interceptions like that, and he doesn't fumble the ball. So we got the guy. That's pretty much it, man. I'm expecting a good game tomorrow, man. I'm expecting to win, and I'm expecting Roman Doomsday, man, to give us 3 touchdowns, like you said, man. I want to see it.
Absolutely, I love it, man. For you guys who are not following G Walker on Twitter, his I believe that's your personal account. That's what I was messaging you on. That's his Twitter handle. He's a good follow. If you guys are on Twitter, please make sure you follow him. Again, great follow. I see some more guys in chat. Chad Speaker, Brian Gilmore. Good to see you in here, Brian, as well. I appreciate each and every one of you. Mr. Mayhem's in here. You guys are awesome. You guys are what make the show as special as it is. I appreciate each and every one of you guys. I think that's it, man. I think we're done. You know what?
Thank you for bringing me on, man. Like, I really appreciate you bringing me on, man. You hit me up.
Absolutely.
And you want to bring me on. Appreciate, love it.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Let me leave you guys, I guess, with some homework, because this is an article that I wanted to bring up, which started to make its rounds. I obviously, throughout this episode, have made my stance that we should trade for McVay. But I think that if you traded for Kyle Shanahan, it would be a great point. But this article actually was pretty well thought out, and I'm going to leave it in the description for you guys. Maybe I'll even drop it in the chat right now as soon as we're done. But this article came out from, I believe, either a San Francisco 49ers beat writer or something of that nature. You can see the title right here. The 6 biggest reasons why the 49ers shouldn't end the Kyle Shanahan era. And there are 6 points. Obviously, I want you guys to read through this for yourself and make your own decision. But again, hiring a new head coach for them would obviously make them a worse team. That's a given. Shanahan has already bounced back from down years a few times already. Again, not something that is refutable. He's a really good head coach.
Yeah.
The benefits to missing the playoffs, obviously, again, beyond the extra rest, they're going to get some good draft picks to add talent to a very talented roster. I believe I heard via the radio at one point the San Francisco 49ers had $160 million of players accounting for the cap hit, all on IR. That is a very hard thing to overcome.
Wow.
I don't know who York is, if I'm being very honest with you. I don't know if York is essentially the 49ers version of Kevin Warren. It says that York wouldn't want to risk losing Lynch in the process, and that seems to be something that's very... Everyone is in lockstep, and they agree with that point that Kyle Shanahan and John Lynch have no indication that they would split. So, unfortunately, if you do trade for or acquire a Kyle Shanahan somehow, maybe that gives Ryan Poles the boot. I don't know. I think that that'd be kind of slimy. You've also got Shanahan's contract being the 5th point. He's under contract for a while. His salary is about $15 million a year, and it's a lot for the owner, I believe, or whoever it is, York, to lose. That's a lot of money to be paying for someone, whatever the case is. And the biggest one, and again, this is what we're talking about with the experience, right? Kyle Shanahan, 8-4 in the postseason, and apparently only 4 active coaches have more playoff wins total. That's why I think it's so important to go out and get a proven winner. These guys with playoff experiences, few and far between, and that's what I would love to pair that with the quarterback. Let me drop this link in the chat for you guys. Make sure that you read it out. It's a very good a read. I almost said a listen. This would be a good listen, in my opinion, the podcast. But the article, good read. Make your own decisions and let me know what you guys think next time. And if you guys have not already, please check out the CNG podcast, Twitter, YouTube, Facebook. Like G Walker said, type in CNG Facebook or CNG podcast and you will find it. Again, I ask you, G Walker, any closing comments from yourself?
No, man. I'm really thankful, grateful for the opportunity to come on here and do this with you, man. We've been back and forth for a while now, man, and we've been keeping in touch here and there. So to see it get to this point to where we're actually doing the show together, man, I'm excited about it, man. You're very good at what you do, bro. For real.
I appreciate it. I appreciate you coming on with short notice. Today, my life called an audible, so I was very unprepared. But Ant Miss, you're the guy, Ant Miss. You are the one who suggested that the show happen on Saturday afternoon. If it's not going to happen on a Friday afternoon or on a Saturday afternoon, it's going to happen on a Friday. But today's Saturday. Got to have that show happen. Going to try and stay consistent. And again, G Walker, I appreciate you showing up on short notice and definitely hope it can happen again in the future. Appreciate you, man. Everyone in the chat, thank you very much. I'm going to wish you all a very good night. Bear down, everyone.
Peace.